Coming to you from Dynatrace Perform in Las Vegas, it's Pure Performance.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pure Performance and Perf Bytes, coming to you from Dynatrace Perform 2019 in Las Vegas. I'm Brian Wilson, and let's just get right into it. I'm going to introduce my guest, Ryan Murphy from Cap Gemini. Hi, Ryan. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Appreciate you having me on. Again, my name's Ryan Murphy. I'm with Cap Gemini North America. I'm part of the Cloud Infrastructure Services global business line. I run our projects and consulting practice for what we call Cloud and Edge in North America.
Mm-hmm.
So primarily, I'm responsible for delivering our customers' transformation agendas.
Wow, that sounds like a lot to tackle.
It can be daunting, yes, for sure.
So thank you for being on the show right now. Capgemini is a sponsor, one of the co-sponsors for Dynatrace Perform, and also a partner. When did you start your partnership? If you know this, right? I don't know how much of the history you know, but when did you start? Do you know when you started your partnership with Dynatrace?
Yeah, so good question. It's kind of a complicated answer because our partnership kind of traces back along the lines of your company history. So we started our partnership with you guys with the original Dynatrace program.
I was a customer back then. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that was back when it was what, CompuWare, correct?
Oh no! So I was started before it was CompuWare, but yes, okay. So
Okay,
first
so
it was
this is
independent,
back.
then it was CompuWare. So you guys started with
Oh, okay,
CompuWare.
yeah.
Okay.
So the history for Cap Gemini, this traces back to back when it was CompuWare.
Okay.
And that's when we first had a global reseller contract with you guys. So that was way back in, I think, 2002. And then in France, we had a managed service provider contract with Dynatrace in 2015. But from a North America perspective, our relationship with you guys really began at Perform last year,
Oh wow.
2018. Yeah, so that's where we really got into the agreement that we have now. We were made aware of you guys through a marquee customer of both of ours now, and that's what we'll be speaking about in our speaking engagement is kind of that success story. But that customer had brought to our attention their interest in Dynatrace. They were using a competitive monitoring product that they had limited success with. So we came out here to kind of check this out and got engaged. And, within 90 days, we had sold a significant license agreement with the customer for Dynatrace and started the implementation and kind of really started going down our Dynatrace journey.
That's not an unfamiliar story. I'm out here in Denver, and we have another partner who basically we were running into them using one of our competitors in a lot of bake-offs, and we kept beating the pants off of them. So eventually they were like, "Hey, maybe we should look into you guys." So it's not an unfamiliar story. It's really awesome that it goes that way. So then obviously this is working for you. What do you what's the advantage that you see of Capgemini and Dynatrace working together?
As our customers start to move to that hybrid and cloud focused environment and their compute leaves their data center and starts kind of moving towards the edge, there becomes gaps with traditional monitoring tools, especially when you start going along the lines of containerization and DevOps. And so Dynatrace has kind of allowed us to put a solution in place that spends less time on traditional monitoring strategies and methodologies. And it really allows us to focus more on innovation, on driving agile development, automation, DevOps, CI/CD pipelines, and really give some valued outcomes to our customers.
That's great. So it's not just another tool people are trying to fit in somewhere. That you're actually able to make progress with it. It sounds. Hey, and it looks like we may have Mark Tomlinson. Mark, have you been able to join us there?
Yes, I love Firefox.
Hey, Mark, thanks for joining us. So yeah, we were just talking to Ryan. This is Mark Tomlinson from Perfbytes. It's
Yes.
Ryan from Cap Gemini. Yes,
Ryan, how are
Nice to
you?
meet you, Mark.
and our listeners probably know Mark from Perfbytes, the inspiration for Andy and I. So Mark, we were just talking about some of the cool things that Ryan was doing and Cap Gemini was doing with Dynatrace. It's really helping the CI/CD pipeline go along and making customers allowing customers to actually get stuff done on modern cloud, just
Very
to
cool.
catch up to where we were.
Cool.
Um, Ryan, what do so you're saying a lot of customers are moving into the cloud. They're having these different data centers, a lot of new technology. From all the stuff you see in your interactions with them, though, would you have any idea of what might be some of their biggest challenges, or maybe not even their biggest challenges? What about for Capgemini, maybe engaging with this? What are some of the biggest challenges? Either one of those.
So, when we come in and we meet with our customers, and we're always hearing about how they want to move to the cloud and how they want to be more agile, bring products to market faster. But when you look at it and you really get down underneath the covers, they still struggle with some of the basic blocking and tackling of managing a CMDB, of doing things like cloud orchestration through service catalog, right, with the request management. So when we go to move them through the cloud journey, we kind of look at the solution from an end-to-end perspective, right? How do you provision into the cloud? Once you provision, how do you build, test, and deploy to the cloud? How do you manage those environments? And then how do you monitor the applications that are sitting there outside of your traditional environment and have a view into the CMDB? What applications tie to what hardware, what infrastructure, what VMs, where's that sitting at, so that you can really start to do application performance. You can really understand what you own. When there's an issue, when there's a breakdown, what is that affecting? What's it impacting? What's the outcome to the business? So we see Dynatrace being able to really tie into all those areas, right? From autonomous cloud management to your application performance management and just standard monitoring tools. Dynatrace kind of gives us the ability to propose, kind of a one-stop solution for our customers, where some of the traditional APM and monitoring competitors just really can't do, especially in containerized solutions.
Actually, Ryan, I'm curious the terminology from an autonomous cloud management standpoint. Can you tell me more what you mean by how you guys view the word autonomous in that way? Because automation is the fad, but from a cloud management perspective, what is autonomy from what you're seeing?
That's a good question, Mark. And I'm by far an expert in this field. But I mean, from our perspective, when we look at cloud management, when people buy AWS or Azure and they get an environment and they're using the native tool stack, one of the challenges for them is, how do you automate provisioning so that you're not going in and defining, individual landing zones and landscapes every single time, right?
Right,
So
right.
how would you provision something out of your service catalog? If you think about it from an ITSM perspective and request management, right? How does that happen? How is that facilitated? So a developer goes in and I need an environment of this size with this storage of this compute, and how do I actually go from sending a request to being able to have that environment in the cloud, right? So your product, autonomous cloud management enables some of that orchestration to happen.
Right.
And so when I think about what what it means to me, it's automating processes so that people don't have to take on the actual tasks of configuring, provisioning, and then managing these environments, right? So when I think of what Dynatrace can do, is it kind of gives you a self-contained solution.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's things when you look at these products like Terraform, some of the other things you get with Ansible, Varnish is another kind of esoteric one that I see here and there. But combining it with the performance information in order to make those
Absolutely.
decisions. That's when it gets really
I
cool.
mean,
And yeah,
so you just named what our life has been for the last few years, right?
cool.
You just named 4 or 5 different vendors, right? So, and then I'm starting to cobble and piece things together where this is kind of a package solution that contains that functionality that I can get from one vendor.
Right. Gotcha. That makes good sense.
So I think it simplifies things for our customers, right? It's less licenses to manage, it's less, updates to make to systems. It's all kind of right there. And it's, one of the great things about Dynatrace is that it's very user friendly, right? So Cap Gemini, once we partnered with you guys and we started looking into your solutions and where we can bring them to our customer base. One of the things I had to do was I had to get a team ramped up and trained. And I've worked with Dynatrace. I've sent my team to training, and the feedback is that the learning curve is it's really small. And my guys that have, scripting skills, they have an automation background, they understand, the DevOps concepts and agile methodologies, they've been able to pick this up really quick. And it's been a really, really short learning curve. And it's been, pretty easy to implement and deploy, the Dynatrace products.
Yeah. It also goes with an industry trend that I saw maybe over the last 10 years. We used to reward like super geeks who had very low level detailed engineering skill, and they were gluing things together on their own in a very DIY way. And then of course we catch up a little bit as more sophisticated customers come along and say, well, not everyone has one of those super engineers. In fact, in the Phoenix project, they talk about, remember the one guy that always like blocks all the, wrote all the code, never wears shoes, doesn't talk to anyone. And the industry moves, we have to succeed and scale these solutions beyond like single magic unicorn engineers. So now the autonomy is, connecting knowledge about the system from a performance perspective or health perspective into how you would scale and operate and manage. That makes good sense.
It's becoming more business based, right?
Yeah.
And it allows folks with the business background, acumen, and some marginal, I won't say marginal, but some, lower level technical skills to be able to do some of this work.
Excellent. Well, I know we're running short on time here, so
well, the number one question, Brian, would be for Ryan would be, Ryan, when was the last time you were in Las Vegas?
So the last time I was in Vegas, ironically, was at AWS reInvent with Dynatrace. I was there. I did a short interview with Nathan Tresca and Dave Anderson for you guys at the Dynatrace booth at reInvent.
Very
that
cool.
was what, back in November, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
That was good.
And,
now, did you gamble?
I did, and I did not win, which is a reoccurring thing for me in Vegas. So
it's okay to gamble and not win, but you should be careful about gambled and lost. Not sure if you're familiar with that, but everybody, you could look at that up, listeners. Do you have? It's 2019, right? Here's the obligatory New Year question. It's 2019. Have you made any performance-related New Year's resolutions?
I think everybody does this every year. You want to be a better version of you, and it starts out, on January 1st, and you're like, I'm going to get up earlier, I'm going to work out, I'm going to prioritize my day. So I think mine are probably the same as everybody else. I try to just be a little bit better version of me every year, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I think we're all there.
So.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much for being on. We hope you enjoy the rest of your time here at Perform.
Absolutely. Maybe I can win. Maybe I can win a little bit this year.
Yeah, if you, there's nothing that gives you the edge in the odds. I looked into that once, but the best way you could win is to not spend your money.
Dynatrace doesn't have a product that's going to help me accelerate my gambling odds, is it?
Oh, maybe we do. No. Maybe we can ask Davis. Davis, what's the status on the roulette table at?
Davis, should I hit or fold?
Brian, I noticed the slot machines are running at 67% CPU. Would you like me?
Excellent.
That'd be awesome. All right, Ryan, thank you so much. Have a great time, and
All right.
thanks for chatting with us today.
Thanks a lot.